Here at the shop, and I was getting the truck cleaned off, getting ready for next week. I know a lot of y'all have been asking about a truck tour. Y'all want to see a little bit more about my truck in the videos, and figured I'd take a little bit of time and make a video for y'all. Give y'all a little back history on the truck. This is actually my dad's old truck, and I was probably about 10 years old when he bought it, and he's been a farmer, so this truck's had a real hard life. When I got the truck, you know, typical second gen Cummins problems, front end was shot, oil leaking everywhere. So I got most of the oil leaks plugged up, not quite all of them, but it's a lot better than what it was when I got it. Put a new steering gearbox on it, new 08 and up front end under it, so it's got a lot of better front end components than come stock on these trucks. So right now this truck drives pretty good down the road. That was the first concern I had with this truck, was getting the front end done. I put a new fuel in tank lift pump on it. So, you know, that's a big problem on some of these trucks. Some of y'all guys are familiar with them. So it runs good, gets pretty good fuel mileage. I'm real happy with the truck. It's a little bit undersized for what I've got on it. But that's just something that I'm having to deal with. I've got this truck next to me. It's gonna be, got a lot of big plans for this truck, but this one right here still got to keep getting me by until I get in this one. Right now we hadn't had the time we wanted to get this truck finished up. We're trying to work on it in the evenings when we come in from short days, and it's just hard to come in after working on site all day and try to get motivation on you know, picking up on a truck bed. But it's a work in progress, and we're getting there. All right, so one thing I did on this truck that I'm really happy with, and it's just been a pleasure to use, was the way that I mounted the vices and this little small work table. You know, originally I wanted to use receiver, like a receiver tube and a 2-inch, you know, 2.5-inch tubing and 2-inch tubing work together as a telescope, but you've got to figure out a way to get the seam out. Another way that people can overcome that is you can buy a bunch of these receiver tubes, and you know, you can weld those in and slide your 2-inch in those. But I got thinking one day, and this PTO drive line is it's not terribly expensive. You can get an inner and outer PTO drive line. I welded about 8 inches of the outer in the truck bed, and I've got one here, and I've also got one on the other side of the truck right here on the back. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to take your vise, if you need to take the vise out. If I'm working right here and Garth, say, is needing to cut up and grind, he can take this vise and just put it over here on the other side of the truck. Or he can take the table, we can take the table. This table will slide right out. And another thing, it gets everything away from the truck. Working on a vise like on a shop table, I mean, they're handy, but when they're mounted on the table, it's so limited. And once you get this vise out away from your truck, it's just so much easier and user-friendly to work on. So that's one thing that I really enjoy on this truck. This little table, originally when I built it, I wanted a full, you know, a full solid piece of, say, 3/8. I didn't have it at the time, and I get impatient sometimes, so I just took 2 pieces of flat bar. This is let's see, 5-inch flat bar, and I left probably about 1.5 inch gap in the middle. And the main thing I was thinking of at the time was being able to run a C-clamp. You know, you could run a vise clamp through there and still clamp in the center of the table if you needed to. But the best thing about this is being able to cut short pieces of metal in half. You know, a lot of people know the struggle if you got this piece of 1/2 inch right here and you want to cut it right down the center. Well, if you're on a typical work table and you put it right there, it's going to fall off. And what you can do is, you know, you can get a piece of heavier metal and sit on it to keep it balanced. But when you got that slit in your table, you can just lay it right there and cut it right down the center. And it may not sound much of a benefit to some of y'all, but it is to me. It's a really handy thing to be able to do. So we plan on making another small table like this for the new truck, and it'll definitely have a slit going through the table. And this box here, this is a removable box that has not all, but most of our line boring gear in the box. It's bolted to the truck. We can pretty easily unbolt it right here. Just take a wrench, pop those 2 bolts off of those tabs, and it comes right off the truck. This is something that I made up. This was actually it's like a warming rack for a restaurant. It had a set of wheels on it right here. You push it around, and it had these grooves in it, and you could slide the food trays in. It's been back behind the shop, some of my dad's collection of stuff. And looking at it one day, I wanted something to be able to put the line boring gear in. I had it in pack outs, and that worked okay, but when you're working by yourself, you've got to get all those pack outs off the truck, and some of them are just so heavy, and you have to set them out around the job site, and then you're working, and then last thing you got to do at the end of the day is you got to load all that stuff back up. So it just takes a lot of time. So I bought a few sheets of Baltic birch plywood. Some of y'all might know what that is. It's a real premium grade of plywood, real strong, durable stuff. And I got in the shop one day and sliced up a bunch of wood on the table saw. It's 5/8 thick, and it goes in those slots just perfect. You got to beat it in. It's a real tight fit. This is so handy for line boring because we can back the truck up. Typically, we can back the truck up within about 6 feet of where we're working. And all the little parts that you deal with, line boring, got all the bolts in here, just different assortment of things that you need to grab out and put back constantly all day. And it just makes everything go. We got a lot of just our, everything. We got our Allen sockets, everything right there. A few measuring tools down there. This welder we use primarily for line boring, for the bore welder. It's an HTP, and I really enjoy that welder. A lot of y'all ask questions about that welder, what I think about it with the bore welder, and I couldn't be more pleased. It just welds really good. Typically, when you start it up in a bore, it'll run right through it. You don't have to stop and mess with it ever. It'll weld straight through the bore, no problem. We've got our drive motor down here, and I got a lot of my mounts, my bearing mounts up in this drawer. Like I said, this has just been a pleasure to have, and I want to make a whole new setup identical to this for the new truck. That way we can have two line boring setups, and we already know where everything is in these drawers. So I want to make it identical because it works so well. That way, no matter what setup we have, we still know where everything is in there. So that pretty much sums it up on the back. And we'll move over here to this side. This is one of those things that, it took a little bit of time to build, and I'm not a big fan of lead reels. I don't like the price of them. I feel like they're overpriced. I come from an industry where we welded and we had to run leads daily. So welding lead and pulling them around, rolling them up, it's kind of been a part of my life I've been in the workforce. So I don't mind having to drag lead out and roll it back up at the end of the day. Another problem with lead reels is you say, you might want 100 foot of lead on your reel to make it worthwhile, but if you weld with a suitcase or do any arc gouging, well, all that 100 foot's got to come off to make it work right. You typically don't want to arc gouge with 100 foot of lead or 75 foot of lead rolled up tight on a reel. So I keep about 50 foot of lead, 50 foot of negative, 50 foot of positive. And when we get to a job site, all 50 foot comes off typically every time. We run it out and pull it back to where we're working. And 50 foot don't take long to roll up. We also keep 100 foot rolls on the truck, individual rolls. That way, if the 50 foot won't make it, which sometimes it don't, then we got 100 foot we can get to. But I don't like keeping 100 foot rolled up attached to your welding machine. To me, it's just a lot of extra effort that you have to put into everything. This is just a simple, I wanted this box made. It's got drain plugs in the bottom so everything drains out. It's not watertight. And it just folds down flush there. And I've got slots here to where, when you pull your 100 foot, when you pull your lead out, you can close the lid and still have your work surface. The only time this comes a problem if you got something strapped to the bed and you need to get your welding leads out. You have to unstrap what you got to open this up. That's about the only downfall that I've came up with since I did it. I went simple on my air hose and extension cord just to roll, you know, and it's not the end of the world to have to roll up anything. And the lead reels are, you know, that's just extra weight, and with this truck I knew it was going to be overweight, so I was trying to cut down on the weight pretty much every chance I got. It's got a 4,000 pound lift more crane on it. It's been a lifesaver. Like I said, I got a lot of inspiration from this truck, from IC Weld, and I, you know, noticed that his crane was mounted in the center. That's what gave me the idea. I didn't, you know, the new truck's gonna be on the side, and in the middle it distributes the weight evenly. That's really the main reason why I did it on this truck, to keep the weight centered in the truck, because I knew it didn't have the capacity that it needed. But it's not really user friendly. Just getting in and out of the center of the truck is not easy. It's something that we deal with, but it's just a pain in the butt sometimes to get up in there. You also lose reach with your crane. You know, if it was back here on this back corner, that's, you know, 3 foot of reach that I lost right there by putting it in the center. But I wouldn't change it on this truck. It works great on this truck because, like I said, it's a little bit overweight, and I wanted to keep everything distributed evenly. All right, so here on the side, and I hadn't mentioned yet, this bed, when I got the truck, all it had was just a regular old, stuck my hand in grease right there, just a regular hay bed on it. It wasn't skirted out, just a regular flat bed, and it was open on the sides. And I skirted it out, I built the fenders, all this right here. I pretty much got all that inspiration from IC Weld. The way he built his doors and his boxes pretty much went right with his design on that. I couldn't have been more pleased with his design, the way it was just so efficient to build. And tomorrow, if I built a new bed that needed boxes on it, I would do it the same construction. Just a 1-inch tubing frame, a little flat bar on the inside to stop the door, and build a 1-inch tubing frame for your door, and just I just tack welded around the inside and got some 3M automotive caulk and caulked around that seam right there. So, you know, if you were trying to weld that up solid, your door's gonna warp really bad. And I know because I tried it. So I just went back and tacked them real good, put the automotive filler on there, worked great. Hadn't had any problems with that so far. You know, obviously these doors aren't watertight, they're not moisture proof, but for what we do, I mean, typically, really and truly, it don't have to be. Back here in this box, we keep a lot of our line boring standoffs, just regular, just heavy plate. Got a few argon hoses, paint. I've got, right here, there's some hydraulic plug kits right there, or end caps. That's pretty much this box. You know, it's like our everyday box. We'll throw, if we got something that's extra for the day, we'll throw it in there. Parts, if we got some bushings or pins or something we're taking to the job, this is typically where we put it here in this box. I mean, I got lights, just some Harbor Freight lights up here. They work pretty good. This box, we've got one of our 12 VS's here, a little argon hose, oxygen lamps. This is where we keep all of our MIG guns that we use. This right here is terrible. This right here, if you need a MIG gun out, it's on the bottom. Pretty much what you do is you just grab the whole thing and pull it all out and let it fall, and then pick up which one you want and put it back in there. That right there does not work at all. Got our stick rods right here. You know, this isn't ideal. We typically don't, you know, we don't max it out. We just kind of take a little bit so everything's staying as dry as possible. Got an extra argon gauge up here, set of shims. This box right here is open from the top. It doesn't have a roof on it. So we keep a water extinguisher right here. Fire extinguisher there. Again, this was all just like IC Weld, the way he designed his. Keep a oxygen bottle right here with the net going that way for this side of the truck. And we keep normally it's an argon here, 75-25 normally, unless we're doing some aluminum work. We'll throw in 100% here. Keeping boring bars here. These come in and out as we are doing line boring work. We don't carry these on the truck every day. We only carry our line boring stuff when we're actually going to do line boring. So we do a lot of fabrication and heavy equipment welding along with line boring. A few of my pry bars here in between the argon bottles. These boxes, if I had to do it over, I wouldn't do this. I can't stand these boxes. I just can't stand getting in them. What I would have done if I could do it over again, I would take this all the way down to that height, and I would take this box all the way down to that height. That way this box here would have been all the way down, and you would have way more storage in there. These boxes, I mean, some of y'all might not have a problem with them, but just after working out of the truck, it's not my favorite. I got a porta power in there. I keep a hollow ram there, a few little bottle jacks. Normally I'll throw a grease gun in there too. That's pretty much all that's over there on that side. I really want the inside of the truck. Most of y'all know what it looks like. It's just like an old 24 valve Cummins. Dash is busted up. Just a work truck is all it is in there. All right, over here on the driver's side of the truck, this box right here is what we in and out of mostly all the time. This is where we keep all our grinders here on the bottom, and it looks like a mess, but this actually works fairly decent. Just pulling out grinders. Normally we use about 3 or 4 at a time. So that being able just to throw all the grinders right there it's not as bad as it really looks. And here I did the same thing as I did in the line boring box, just some Baltic birch plywood, and it's bolted to the inside of the box there. And this works really good. I'm gonna do this maintainer body here. It didn't have any of the drawers or anything in it when I got it. So I'm not gonna do this in every box on the new truck, but I am gonna do it in a few of them. I just think it's really efficient. It works good. Within a few hours, I can have these built, and just works pretty good. So right here, we just keep, I got a little section right here for my tips, and just as like a little catch-all drawer. We got wrenches, sockets, screwdrivers, and picks, chisels, files there, drill bits, everything up there. And that drawer right there is just no telling what you're gonna find up there. If we can't find somewhere to put it, that's typically where we put it up there in that top drawer. And I got a battery in here, deep cycle battery for the crane, and I've got it ran to the alternator on the truck, so it charges as we're going down the road or when the truck's cranked. This box is pretty rough too. I don't like this box. I never did get finished setting it up the way that I originally wanted to. Design was one of those things I did one day, just a slow day. I built these little boxes and made a little metal frame, and it does okay, but this box is just not set up the way I want it to. I would eventually like to build a set of drawers like this in that box in here up to about right here, and then put bigger stuff, welding hoods and stuff up top. I like the torches hanging there. That works out real nice. We got strikers right there. Can't have enough strikers. And if you don't have a clip on your striker, I would highly recommend it. That's something that is really valuable to us, having a striker, because you're always searching around for it. Got drills. We keep our welding hoods right here. We keep our grinding disc, the bigger ones in here, and then we got some drawers. We got Metabo disc and got some big sockets there. A little bit of everything in those drawers there. Another thing that I did is made that little latch there so the doors stay open. That really works good. Wouldn't change that design on this style of door. All right, right here we keep some come-alongs. Those are definitely very valuable to what we do. Keep our little stool in here. It's another thing that we really like to use a lot. Got our oxygen and acetylene here, and torch is rolled up here, and it works out pretty good like that. And down here we keep C-clamps, vice clamps. We keep a scotch in here for the truck. We keep some straps, shackles, everything like that. Normally stays down there in that drawer. All right, that pretty much wraps it. All right, that pretty much wraps it up on this truck. I know I didn't talk about what the welding machine was. The welding machine on this truck is a 325 Trailblazer. Couldn't be more pleased with that welder. It's been a workhorse for us since I bought it. It's extremely quiet. It's so compact for the size that it is. For a 325, it's very, very tiny compared to some of the other welders that you can get. For what I've done so far in my business, it's been great. For this other truck, we've got a bigger welder on this truck, and it's going to be a little bit more capable. We've got more crane capacity and more welding capacity on this truck, but like I said, it's not quite ready yet, so it's been a work in progress. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all maybe get some ideas if y'all are trying to build a truck bed. But hope y'all enjoyed it.